Well, farewell, CBCS. I got to tell you, I had some intimate interactions with them. I got back into collecting. This is Turkish Jude Mossberg from Facebook, Jude's Junk, Facebook comic book shop page. I also have a YouTube channel website called Jude's Junk. I got back into collecting after 45 years in 2021 and wanted to grade some of my best books from the 80s that I had collected in the 80s. And I did a lot of comparison because I wasn't sure where to go. And I landed on CBCS. It was going to be cheaper, faster. Did a bunch of research, prices, quality, and they verified signatures. I had some signatures, and I ended up going with them. And I ended up, Steve Borak was the president or CEO, president, big time grader. He now works for Comic Link, I think, one of those auction houses. But anyways, I don't know if he got fired or let go. Very respected in the grading community, built the grading division process procedures over at CGC, I believe, and then left. He was also big into one of the, was it auction houses somewhere? Or was it the price, the comic book price guide, the old one? Anyways, well respected. And I don't know if he quit or if they fired him. But they got a lot of new business in 2021 when everything went through the roof, and they didn't manage it well. Now, you could talk about whether you like the plastic or not, but that part is really irrelevant if a lot of the bad things was happening, which happened to me. I'm telling my story now because they're going out of business. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement that I wouldn't tell people about this, but they're going out of business now, so they don't care. But I was really big into them. CGC had longer times. They were much more expensive, and they didn't have signature verification. So I ended up going with CBCS. I ended up making a list of 20 reasons why CBCS was better than CGC. Sent it to Steve Borak. He actually took it and put it on the CBCS website. I think it's still there to this day. And I was a big proponent. I was getting slammed left and right by everybody in CGC saying that they suck, they don't sell for as much. And I was actually doing pretty good selling them at normal prices. They just didn't do well in the auctions. But one-to-one buy it nows, people were buying it. People trusted the grades. And then they started losing books. Then the lead times started taking months, in some cases years. I had 30 of the Crane books when Crane was all the rage, Clayton Crane, and I had him sign it and didn't want to pay the money to send it to CGC, so I sent it over there for signature verification to CBCS, and they lost all 30 books. Granted, it was during their move, and they were moving probably to try to handle higher levels of business that was coming in because they gave really low prices and they got too much business. I think that also affected the quality of the grading. I won't go into that in this video, but a lot of people say they grade. I don't think their grading is consistent. I think a lot of their 9.8s actually turn out to be 9.6s, and I think their low grades actually turn out to be higher grades. I did a whole video on why I believe that, but I don't think their grading process is consistent. I think when Steve left, the process and procedures went downhill. Lots of lost books, mistakes made. I had an order of like 100 books I sent in, and literally got lost there a year. And I just kept calling and chasing it, and they wouldn't respond. And I went through my presser, who was an authorized dealer with them, and he would go to their front door and drop them off. And it was just a nightmare getting these books back. So over a year and a half, the boom came and went. These books were pressed a year and a half ago, and they sat in some warehouse in humidity, probably in Texas, and came back a lot of 9.2s, 9.4s, and they should have been 9.8s and blah, blah, blah. But those 30 Crane books, they paid for them, and they paid a pretty penny for them because they were worth a bunch when I reported it and wanted the insurance to cover it. And by that time, the books had gone down. So I was happy with the financial recompense, but I wasn't happy that I lost the books. So anyways, it ended up being my benefit, because by the time they found and let me know that they lost my books, they didn't find them. They found out that they had lost them. By the time they did that, a lot of those Crane books had gone down. He had already gone through his cheating on his wife scandal, and the books went down. So I took my cash and ran. Was actually glad, but then CGC started verifying. CBCS started raising their prices. They're having longer lead times. Their prices were the same as CGC, and then so there was no competitive advantage. Now, granted, you might like their plastics. Okay. You might like the way they grade better. Granted, some people do. I get it, but becoming a new comic book store dealer, whatever, they just were not selling. It was really hard to sell them, and the old labels, even the new label they did looked a little bit better. I didn't like it. I think most people don't like it. That's why most people didn't buy it, unless most people were not buying it because they just didn't trust the grade. So, what have you. It was poor management. It was falling apart in 2021 when Steve Borak left, when they were losing books, and lead times were, for years. I think it was gone for over a year and a half, 2 years was one order. The other one, it took them 2 years to find out they lost the order. So there was a lot of internal problems. I think it was mismanaged. Whoever was running it, it was mismanaged. Hence, Beckett sold, right? PSA just bought Beckett. They're not going to compete. They're not going to make CBCS compete with PSA. If there's any valuable intel or resources or humans or employees at CBCS, they can be absorbed into PSA. And now PSA has money, and they bought out Beckett. So, so the good news is, I think I've done a video on CBCS, and I put that they were going out of business, and everybody's slamming. This was like 2 weeks ago. Everybody was slamming me. They're not out of business. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody uses them anymore. Maybe there's some people. All the CBS books on auctions go for dramatically less than and I buy them. I buy the CBS, I crack them, get them signed, and it's a great deal because they don't sell on auctions for the same fair market values. There was problems with Go Collect combining the CBCS sales with the CGC sales, and that was messing up their fair market value numbers because they weren't 10 to 20% different. They were dramatically different. In some cases, 50% different for a 9.8. And was it Go Collect or Cover Price? No, Cover Price was combining them. And that was why a lot of their data is messed up with CLZ. And I tried to report that to the powers that be, and they're just like, whatever, it's good enough. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue. So now we got PSA coming out. Now everybody's got to catch up. We're switching over. All the features on CLZ haven't been changed yet to show the PSA label. They still, when you choose the label, they don't give you a PSA label to choose from yet on CLZ, even though I've told them and they think they fixed it, but they haven't. So we just switched from CBCS to PSA. PSA's got more resources. Their reputation for grading cards is on the high end. So their reputation for grading is good. I didn't think I would like the red labels and the block lettering, but the cases are so thick. They are UV protected. They're solid. All the books I got back from PSA, I bought PSA books. I cracked them, sent them into Todd. They all came back 9.8s, no issue there. I think PSA is going to be a powerhouse like CGC. I think once they get going and build this up, they're going to have signature verification. They're going to have to, what's that code that CGC has on the fancy little codes, and they'll get the label all situated because PSA doesn't understand what we do in the market. You got to be able to see it far away. You got to be able to see it online on auctions, on eBay and stuff like that, and you got to be able to tell what's going on. Their little qualified lettering up in the upper right hand corner is so small you can barely even see it. You can make mistakes and buy, the label doesn't change color with PSA. So they got some fixes to do. I think they're gonna do it. I think with the money behind them, I think with their whole reputation is grading better in the card industry, and so I'm not really too worried about the grading. Although, don't get me started on the 9. They don't do 9.9s, they only do 10s. So now they're going to have 10s instead of 9.9s. So the 10s might be overgraded compared to CGC, but that's the same thing in the card world. Everybody knows the differences between the different grading companies and their values. So, anyways, I've been saying this for probably a couple of years. CBCS was just all the videos I saw that everyone was just shaking their head going, what are they doing? They don't have a core competency. Some of you guys like them, and I don't know if, I don't know why. Maybe you hated CGC. That's enough to like them. Maybe you hated, you got ripped off, you got some problems with CGC, and you really wanted a competitor to come in. I think PSA is going to solve that. Maybe there's a few out there that really like their philosophy that to make the label kind of in the background so the comic book comes forward. I understand that in theory, but people didn't like it. Right now, people pay for the custom labels with CGC. People pay for the signature. They want to see that bright yellow. And we like the differentiation of the purple and green because it got hidden on CBCS and now it's getting hidden on PSA. So, but some people don't like a big old purple label. So we'll see how PSA handles that, because maybe there is something better than what CGC is doing. Anyways, it's a bummer they went out of business, but they had poor management. They didn't listen to their clients. I was one of their biggest clients. They didn't listen to me. They had divisional vice presidents would never respond to emails. They didn't communicate well. They didn't get back to their clients. They didn't listen to their clients. They had so many problems during the 2021. They just thought they could get away with treating people poorly and not taking advantage of them, but taking clients for credit. I was able to call CGC and contact human beings all the time. I had problems, I get through. I had a customer service. There wasn't people I could call at CBCS many times. Many times I had to leave a message with my quote vice president, and he'd never get back to me, or send him emails and he didn't get back with me, and there was problems and I couldn't get it resolved. So it's just bottom line, poor management. We don't need another grading company that has poor management techniques, because that's going to lead to poor grades. That's going to lead to inconsistent grading. And so anyways, this is my rant. A few years ago, I realized all my CBCS books, all my books were CBCS. They weren't selling. I couldn't move them. And then I slowly started integrating. I started cutting them and selling them just to get rid of them. I started, cracking some of the high-end ones. And a lot of the 9.8s that I cracked that I got back, that were my books from the 80s, came back in 9.6. I just cracked a 9.8 CBCS on Batman 423. It came back in 9.6. I sent in 43 books to Todd McFarlane, and only one lost a grade, and that was my CBCS label. And I'm able to look over the books on the outside and pre-screen them before I send them in. And I did this 4 years ago with Todd. I sent in and I found out that the CBCS lost a grade about twice as much as the CGC did. About 20% of the time the CBCS 9.8s lost a grade, and 10% of the time the CGC lost a grade. I've been getting better with pre-screening, so that has gone down. But still, I've had enough CBCS books drop a grade from a 9.8 to 9.6 when I said it didn't get cracked and graded, that it's a gamble, and it's a big gamble. When you're talking about a $2,000 book that goes down to a $1,000 book, it's a big gamble. And I think a lot of us know this. This is why when we go to these auctions, you see two books back to back, and the CBCS is getting the lower price. That's for the high-end 9.8 books. I already talked about the lower grades. I think CBCS use the same grading criteria as the modern books, which some of you agree on. CGC has a different grading criteria for older books. Older manufacturing progress, um, older manufacturing processes, different paper, different staples. There's a different grading criteria for 30s and 40s books than there is for 90s books. And so you can crack a 1.5, a 2.5, a split spine 1.0 and just put, what is that tape on the outside, the archival tape. You can send it into CGC and you'll go from a 1.0 to 2.0, because with archival tape, you can avoid the green label up to a 2.0 if you didn't not aware of that. So I think they graded too harsh on the older Silver Age books, lower grades, and I think they overgraded on the high end 9.8s. So, anyways, see you CBCS. I've said goodbye to you for a long time. I couldn't even think of a reason after JSA came around to even use them. I just bought though books. I still buy them, especially if I can get a good deal. Books that I think I'm going to crack and sign later. That's what I do. But I'm excited about PSA. I really wasn't at first. Bought some, got them, looked at them. When you hold a PSA book and I saw that video, they are UV protected. Then I learned about their reputation in the card world. That actual red label really does make some of the red on the covers really pop. I have an X-Men 133 9.8 newsstand, a little bit of red on the cover, and it just makes it pop. So, but I'm confident it's a 9.8 when I buy it. Granted, it's new, it's under a year, but I have enough PSAs that I'm buying now because I can get them still cheap, because a lot of people don't know about PSA. They're not confident. I even see people online going, oh, CGC is a monopoly now. I don't even think they either know about PSA. They're bummed that CBCS is leaving because they say now CGC is a monopoly. And that's not the case. PSA came on full force. They're a real company. They bought back at the people that owned CBCS. So I'm happy that we got a real company. And so, in some sense, PGX led to something better, which was CBCS, and they're going to lead to something better, which is PSA. And I think we're going to have our two grading companies. And then we just need a third, and we can get 3 people grading comic books. I'd like to see what the competitive advantages are, but a lot of people don't like Signature Series, so they don't think about this. But those licenses that CGC have, they're gold with the labels. Now they got the DC labels, the custom labels. That's a big deal, getting those kind of licenses. So it'll be interesting to see if there is room for a third grading company. But I think that will only cause things to get better, more efficient, and it'll be interesting to see how the price guides work, because I use GPA and they only do CGC.